Okay, I think I'm recording. So hi, if you guys don't know me, I'm Macy. I'm the treasurer for student government. So today we're just gonna take a quick second just to talk about the financial opportunities that student government provides students through the student activity fee. So those funds are able to be allocated to any registered student group on campus, and they're a really awesome way for student groups to continue the awesome work that they're doing and maybe to fund some new things that they weren't previously able to do just from financial constraints. So just a brief outline of what's going to happen tonight. I'm going to do a brief presentation and then a little demonstration of how our allocation form works, since we're on a new online format this year. And then at the very end, we'll open it up for some questions if anybody has any. Callie Hill, our Director of Communications, might be joining us. She has some more information about the spring inventory that will be sent out to student groups. Matt, do you want to introduce yourself really quick and the position you'll be in next year?
Hi, my name is Matt Hanner. I'm currently a senator, and I'm going to be the treasurer next year for 2021 to 2022. Pretty excited.
Woo! All right, thanks, Matt. Okay, I'm gonna try and figure out how to screen share. And, all righty. If you can't see it, just yell at me and I'll figure it out. All right, so financing your student group. Obviously, we know that there's a lot of different opportunities for this. So what are student government allocations? Student allocations are just one way that we can help give you the financial assistance that you need to help succeed with your group. So every registered group on campus has up to $5,000 per school year that they can get through student government. There's an application process, and then you would need to present to the Senate. And so they have final say on the amount of funds you would get. And additionally, sometimes they have certain constraints, like, oh, maybe come back next week. We're going to ask you to change a couple things to your request. So that is the gist of our allocation requests. So the request process, after I go through this whole thing, I will come back so we can do a sample allocation request. But all request forms can be found on the student government webpage. Under the student organizations tab, there is a place for allocations for current groups. So I don't know if you can see my mouse, but over on this right-hand side here is where you'd find the allocation request form. Like I said, I'll go over all of that once I'm done. So after you have submitted the allocation request form, it would now move to an Adobe form. And so that would be sent out to your student contact, who you would select when you submit your request. And they would complete all that information. If there's additional paperwork, that can be emailed directly to myself. Some examples of additional paperwork might be if you guys have any quotes for anything that you might be purchasing. If you wanted to include maybe a brief handout on some of the educational aspects of the trip that you want to be presented to the Senate, anything that you think would help support your application would certainly be helpful for us to have. So after that form has been completed, normally it takes about 1 week, up to 2 weeks, for the Finance Committee to review that request. Our committee meets once a week on Tuesdays after the student government meeting. So it kind of depends on your timing. If you maybe get it in on a Wednesday, we probably won't be able to look at it till the next Tuesday. And if there's not a meeting, sometimes things can get kind of shuffled. So we do suggest that you give yourself ample time. I'd say the whole process from starting your form to getting passed through the Senate and getting those funds transferred is about 4 weeks. So keep that in mind when you're requesting funds. Obviously, if there's an extenuating circumstance, like a really awesome opportunity has come up for your group, just let me know and we can try and expedite things a little bit more for you. But after the Finance Committee has reviewed that, I would reach out to the student contact that was listed and let them know of the Finance Committee's decision. So committee is really the place where we can kind of assist with your application and make sure it's all primed and ready to go before you have to stand up and present to the Senate. We kind of have experience with what the Senate is looking for, what has happened in previous applications, or maybe some areas of your application that we have questions about. So if that proves through committee, I'll let you know, and we will set up a time for you to come to the student government meeting to present to our Senate. So one thing to note about these presentations is that they will go in the order in which the forms were submitted. And this is really important once our allocation budget kind of starts to dwindle towards the end of the school year, because we might only have maybe $4,000 or $5,000 left in our allocation funds, and we have two groups that both want $5,000 allocations. So getting it in as soon as possible, that is another example of why it's really good to get it in a little bit earlier, just so you can ensure that you can get that funding for your group. Basically, your Senate presentation is just an explanation to the Senate of why you're allocating for this money, what's it going to do for your group, and what's it going to do for Morningside as a whole. There's some frequently asked questions that I listed here, and this information is also attached to the email that all student groups do. One of the most common questions that the senators will ask is, how is this going to help Morningside, and how is it helping the students in your group? So be prepared to kind of have some testimonies as to the impacts your group has made and how this opportunity, event, item, conference will enhance the work of your group. Also, we would need a specific breakdown of your costs. So this might include, you know, hey, we're looking to purchase an iPad for our group to do this, this, this. Our estimated cost is $4,200. Now, obviously, there's going to be some, you know, tax differences and things like that, so it might not come out to exactly $4,200. My suggestion is that you err a little bit on the higher side, because any money that you don't end up spending will be sent back. But if you guys end up running over, like let's say you're at like $4,300 or something like that, then you would have to come back and reallocate for that $100, and we don't want to put you through the hassle of that. So keep that in mind. If the Senate passes following your presentation, the next step is an interdepartmental transfer. So that would be completed on a form. As soon as you're done with the Senate presentation, I will normally scribble out our side of things, and I will hand it over to you. That needs to be signed and completed by the advisor of your group. So they should be familiar with interdepartmental transfer forms through their department. If they are not, just feel free to reach out or have them reach out to me. So once they've completed it, and I've marked here with these red stars, these are the forms, the outlines that I would need your group to complete. I can complete the rest. Just go ahead and bring it back to the student government office whenever, and you can just place it on my desk. I've got a little name card. Go ahead and sit it flat on my desk, and I will get it handled from there. And normally, by the time I get it scanned and emailed off, it takes about a day or two to get all of those funds transferred to your account. The way to access those funds, it's often a question I get. There are a couple options. The first option is you can rent a P card, which is a purchasing card from the business office. So you can use that to get funds out of your account. The easier option is probably just to go to your advisor. They likely know a little bit more about how your account works. So they can help with, you know, keeping track of receipts and things like that. So once your fund has been spent, you have purchased your items to support your group, you've put on your event, you've gone to your conference. The last step is an allocation follow-up form. So we do this for a couple reasons. One of them is we really just want to see what you guys did with the money, and what you guys are doing for Morningside and our campus. It's exciting to see, and it's a good thing for us to kind of use to show other groups, like, hey, this group had this really awesome idea and they received money and executed it, and maybe you guys could do something similar. So it acts as a good way for us to kind of keep promoting the use of these funds. The other reason is just for auditing purposes. Student government will get audited on the funds that we spend, which is why it's important that we have all of the receipts from your event. So the receipts, in addition to the follow-up form, are good for anyone who audits Morningside to know, oh, we're not just, you know, throwing $5,000 here and $4,000 here. We are actually spending them on student and school needs. So you will get that email from me as soon as your event has been completed, and I just ask that you complete it within 2 weeks of the event. But if you have extenuating circumstances, just let me know, and I can be a little bit flexible with that. Okay, so I am going to quickly show the exact process for an allocation request form, and then we can move to some questions and answers. Am I still screen sharing? Can you guys still see? Okay, so student organization tab, like I mentioned before, on our student government website, and our website is morningsidesg.com. Feel free to check it out. There's a lot of awesome resources for student groups specifically, especially groups that are just getting started, but also for some of our current groups that are more established, to kind of help you get things rolling, and if you need some extra assistance on things. So the little piggy bank over here is our allocations tab. At the top, you're going to see the amount of money that is currently remaining in the allocation fund. So we currently have $29,000 and a little bit extra. This number is updated every Tuesday after our student government meeting. So when you look at it, just think about the previous Tuesday and you should be good. The allocation process is this first tab. I'm going to upload this video to replace this one from last semester. So if you have any questions that you don't want to really reach out, you think we covered it in this meeting, feel free to just come back and view this video. There's also a very, very detailed outline of our process. So feel free to skim that. It's got some more details in there, as well as our guidelines for allocation requests. And that is located in our student government bylaws. So if you go ahead and give that a click, oh, it's up here. It'll take you to our bylaws, and it's section 6 of this document where it just outlines all the technicalities. Really nothing too much to worry about. If there's any constitutional issues that we have with your request, most likely the finance committee would catch them and we'd point them out and get it fixed before it goes to Senate. But if you're curious, feel free to give that a glance before you start. And then the Senate presentation, those questions are listed down there. We also have a tab for frequently asked questions, and I'll come back to that right before our Q&A session. All right, so allocation request form. This is going to take you to a Google form where you'll insert your group name, your group president email, and your student contact email. Your student contact can be the same exact person. It can be your president, or a lot of people will want to put their treasurer or some kind of financial person that they have within their group as that student contact. Feel free to do whichever one. And then we also need your advisor's email. So once you submit this form, within 24 hours with it, an Adobe form should hit your inbox. So I am going to pull that up now. Can we see it maybe? No, we can't see. Okay, 1 second. New share. How about now? Good? Good. Okay, here we go. So this is what you will pull up and see from Adobe. You can go ahead and just hit review and sign. Can you still see it? No. Oh, no. Okay. Oh, it went away entirely, didn't it? You would think I'd know how to do this by now. Better?
You're good. Oh, yep, that's much better. There we go.
Okay, so this is what the form looks like. If you've sent in a request before, this form has been updated. Nothing too serious. We've just updated some of the language on it to make things a little bit more inclusive. We've had a lot of groups ask for some new and exciting things this year that haven't been requested previously, so we wanted to include those items in our new form. So the first page kind of outlines some of the basic information. And this is where we really get kind of into the meat of the request form. So you would go ahead and complete all of these forms. Obviously, if there's an asterisk, then it's required. If you have any questions about that, let me know. So fill this out as you will. If there is any one of these forms that you feel like you do not have enough space on, one of these examples might be, what is the purpose of this monetary request? Oftentimes people will supplement that with an additional email to me with that supporting evidence if they have quotes or anything like that. Sometimes people put a statement in there. So feel free to keep it brief on this form and then add more information elsewhere. I also ask on number 7 that you just list detailed incomes and expenses for your group. So this can be sent as supporting evidence. It's really just nice to know what the financial situation of your group is looking like. Have you guys been doing fundraisers? Have you received support elsewhere? And it's a good tell of, what you guys have been doing throughout the year. And then the final aspect will just ask for a signature. So it will go in order from president, student contact to advisor. So the president will be the first person to receive this form. As soon as they type, draw, whatever their signature, and hit send on their form, it will next be sent to the student contact who can review the form and then sign it themselves. And then finally, it'll be sent to the advisor. So that is our basic request form. Does anybody have any questions about just the forms or anything with paperwork before we kind of move on to some more general Q&A stuff? Alrighty, seeing no one, I'm gonna move on to some Q&A stuff. If you have any questions about anything, just, feel free to let me know, send me an email, or ask any member of our finance committee or any member of the Senate. A couple Q&A questions. What can I allocate for? There are a lot of different things, but most things will come to a case-by-case basis based on the Senate's thoughts. Sorry, one second. Typically, people will allocate for conferences or educational opportunities. That is a big one that we have seen in the past. But with COVID, we've had to see people get a lot more creative with how they're going to support their students. One really good example, recently Garden Club came in and they requested an allocation for a new pergola to be built within the garden, and the Senate approved it. So that's a really cool thing. We also recently had Active Minds come in. They have national dues that need to be paid, along with they were attending a virtual conference, and the Senate was more than willing to hear them out and give them some money to help them out with that. We also had MSAA come in, and they had a really cool opportunity. They wanted to purchase some supplies for their group to kickstart the Morningside Student Advertising Agency. So they purchased some iPads and things like that, so they could really get their group off the ground and get students working quickly within the workforce and really with the highest level of technology that they could. And there's a ton more that have happened throughout this year that are really exciting, but those are just some examples of some of the really creative things that people have come up with this year, and the Senate is very eager and ready to discuss and to allocate. So you can allocate for what you wish, just put it on your allocation form, and then it'll be discussed in the Finance Committee. The only exceptions for allocations is we cannot allocate for fundraisers, and we cannot allocate for food and beverage, and we cannot do reimbursements. So those are our 3 main points that we stay away from. But other than that, submit a request form for anything you think your student group needs, and then it'll be at the discretion of the Senate. But if you make your case, likely you'll stand a good chance if it's going to benefit the students and Morningside. If your group does not spend all of its allocation money, an interdepartmental transfer form, just like the one that student government used to send the funds to your group, your student group would just complete that form again, sending it right back to us. And that's no problem at all. Oftentimes, students will be under budget, they save some money somewhere, so it's really easy to just send that back. You can also write that in your follow-up form that we didn't spend all of our money, but since it was allocated to a certain event, unfortunately, you cannot just take the remaining money and spend it on a different event that was not allocated for. So we do need to see that money back, but you can always come back and reallocate for more money and from that pool. Where can you find your account number for your student group? So the Morningside Business Office has access to all student group account numbers. When you sign up with student government as a registered group, one of those steps is getting a student allocation or student account number. If you can't find it on file, feel free to reach out to the business office. They can connect you with that number. When is the allocation request form due? Like I said earlier, it's a first come, first served basis. So oftentimes there is a big rush at the start of the year once we present our allocation budget, just because people want to get in, they have big things to do in the spring, and they want to make sure that they secure their funding, and that is totally okay. It does not matter how far out your event is, just as long as you have the proper documentation and you're able to make your argument for why this would benefit your group. So those are some of the frequently asked questions, but I'm eager to see if either of you two have any additional questions regarding allocations or just student governments and student groups in general. So anybody had any questions for me? No? Faith? No? Nope, okay. Perfect. And Callie was planning on hopping on. I do not see her. So we will see. Oh, thank you, Faith. I appreciate it. So hopefully she should be sending out an email in the next few weeks or so explaining that inventory in a little bit more depth. So feel free to check in with her. If you do end up having any additional questions about financing your student group or about the allocation process, feel free to reach out to me and let me know, or set up an appointment with me through our student government website. So thank you guys so much for hopping in and attending. I really appreciate it. You guys were a great audience. Very, very loud and energetic, and it was perfect. So alrighty, if you guys got anything else, we good? Sweet. All right, bye guys. Thank you.